The traditional art that inspired this trend was hand weaving done by Appalachian women. Our next artist, Susan Leveille, is from a family that can trace back 5 generations of weavers. She's studied these traditions since the age of 7 and is considered today to be one of the region's best practitioners and teachers. Like her family generations before, she supports the Appalachian artisan community through teaching and through the sales of crafts at her lovely Oaks Gallery in Dillsboro in Jackson County. 2014 Heritage Award recipient Susan Leveille.
There's so many people to thank. That video brought me to tears. That was wonderful. And this award just makes my heart swell. So many generations of my family, past and present, that have supported me and who have encouraged me to pursue my passion of weaving. My parents in particular, who introduced me to so many incredible craftspeople, not just weavers, but many of whom are award winners. B. Hensley, who is on the list of heritage awardees, an iron worker. Amanda Crow, who was a wood carver from Cherokee. Incredible people who influenced me as a child. And my parents filled our home with beautiful crafts, and I grew up knowing the story of every person that made each piece in our home, and that was just incredible, and it influenced me tremendously. Friends and students who have supported me in my pursuit of weaving and teaching. Some of those friends and students are here tonight, and that warms my heart. The North Carolina Arts Council and its small little Jackson County Arts Council that introduced me to my community when I came back from college, sucked me into their work, and brought me so much joy in getting to know my community again as an adult. Suzanne McDowell, one of my students and my dearest friend, who nominated me for this award. What more incredible thing a friend can do than to say, I believe in you, I've loved what you've done with your life, and I'm going to tell the whole world they have to know about it. Thank you, Suzanne. And for my husband, who has supported me always. Even before we were married, he helped me pick up a loom that I had purchased, and little did he know that was one of many that he was going to have to move and disassemble and reassemble, and he is a man of great patience. Thank you so much, Bob, for all that you've done.
Would you come over, Susan, and sit at your loom and talk a little longer with us?
Surely.
I'll hold that for you. I'll put it down right here. Now, as you get started, I'm going to have to say something I'm a little embarrassed about, and that is that I've never really understood how all this works together. you have thread and you have a shuttle and you have a warp, correct? But how in the world do you end up with something like that?
Well, it is a process, and what is most important is the loom, and it holds one of two sets of threads tight so that you can weave the second set, which is on the shuttle, in and out of those warp threads, the ones that are stretched. So that loom can be a piece of cardboard, or it can be something as advanced as this, what we call a floor loom. And you could take your fingers and weave the yarn over and under those tight warp threads, or as 20,000 years of textile development has shown us, you can do that very quickly with computerized looms that is where our textiles today for most of what we are wearing. Yeah. But a big part of the time is getting the loom set up. So what you are going to see right now is the fun and easy part.
All right, but before you begin, so in order to do this, do you have to take your shoes off?
Yes, you have to take your shoes off. It's a bit like playing an organ, and you have to feel because you're doing other things. So you have to pay attention.
Can you show us a little bit?
Okay. The loom helps separate the threads so that you can quickly pass this shuttle through. A shuttle being something that moves between the same two places, back and forth. Then the beater pulls that yarn back into place. I'm amazed today. I love to share this with children. And they'll say, "Well, what are you doing?" And I say, "Well, I'm making a piece of cloth." And they look at me, and I say, "What you're wearing is a piece of cloth." And they look down at their clothes, and they are just astonished. It is something, as one of the other awardees said, this used to be done because you had to, you needed it, it was necessary. And of course today, people like myself weave as a creative endeavor. But for people to understand how cloth is made, we're still using cloth every day in our lives. Just look around you. You get out of bed in the morning and you slide out from sheets or blankets, and we have so much cloth that we use.
You know, I thought the video was really wonderful in the way that it captured your rhythm. So is rhythm important when you weave, or does it matter?
Oh, it matters to me a lot, yes. It is very mesmerizing. It's tranquilizing. It brings me a real peace. I enjoy the rhythm. Now, not all weaving is this rhythmic, but this is the part I enjoy the most.
I have one other question. It relates to your aunt, or great aunt, Lucy Morgan, who started Penland, correct?
Yes.
Do you either think about her and your ancestors when you weave, or do you have specific patterns that you inherited from them, or how do they enter into your life, or how does she enter into your life?
Well, she was the one who got me interested in the beginning. People asked, did she teach you? No, she did not. She was very busy running Penland School, but she got me interested and intrigued, and then a family member came to live with us, and she brought her loom with her, and she was the one who then, when I was still quite young, sat me down at the loom and taught me how to pass the shuttle and make good smooth edges, and I was hooked, absolutely hooked. But there were so many women in that family. I mean, I was so incredibly lucky to be born into the family I was born into. All of the people who had perhaps missed a generation or two of weaving, which had been passed down, went to Penland and learned it again, and they all wove. And there's one particular piece of fabric that I have that's a real treasure. I retrieved it out of a rag bag that one of those family members had. She asked me to dispose of it, and I somehow said, I must look in here first. And amongst that bag of just cleaning rags was a piece of fabric that I said, this had to have been hand woven. And sure enough, it had been maybe a curtain or a bedspread and just a scrap of it left. And I have used that over and over again as inspiration for other fabrics.
I have one more question. So how long would this beautiful piece here that we see hanging on the frame, how long would that take for you to make, and say a little bit about that process?
Well, again, the longest process is getting the loom set up. And that can be anywhere from 6 hours to 2 or 3 days, depending on how fine the threads are, whether you've got 8 threads in an inch or 35 threads in an inch across. But that too has some rhythm to it, measuring all those threads. But there is a level of precision that has to accompany how each one of those threads goes through one of these little wires. So if you do that wrong, it's just like a note in one of these beautiful songs. If you hit it wrong, it's wrong, and it's wrong throughout the whole piece.
Well, thank you so much. That was a beautiful video, the way you articulated the connection of what you do to your family and to your place. And we thank you for keeping this tradition going and for innovating. And I have to tell everybody, if they're in Dillsboro, you have a beautiful shop where you sell wonderful, beautiful crafts. And some of your crafts will be out in the lobby. But would you please give Susan Leveille a big hand? North Carolina Heritage Award.